morning, everyone. The Rabbi once told us, a young man, that he was going to watch a sports game in Ebbets Field, actually, in Crown Heights, the Dodgers. And the Rabbi saw this kid going on the way to see the sports game, and the Rabbi was talking to him in the street, and the Rabbi said to him, "What's the difference between a ball player and a fan, a spectator in the stadium?" And the Rebbe said that sometimes when a team is losing by a large margin, let's say it's 27-4, and it's the 8th inning, so the players say, the spectators and the fans say, there's going to be a lot of traffic on the way out, my team lost anyways, might as well leave now and beat the traffic and get out of the parking lot. But the player, no matter what the score is, no matter how many points they're down by, they keep on playing till the very end. In life, we always have to be players, not spectators, which means we never give up. This week's Parsha has the horrific, tragic predictions, where the Torah tells us what will befall the people throughout Jewish history. And when you read this section of the Torah, it's depressing, because it predicts all of the horrors in advance that the Jewish people will endure throughout the long exiles and the suffering of the oppression and persecution that we've gone through. Tonight we're going to have a movie at 7:30 in a discussion about anti-Semitism. We now know in hindsight what we went through, but this is the Torah foretelling from the moment we left Egypt that we're going to go through some very difficult times. But the amazing thing is that at the end of all the harsh predictions, what's going to occur to the Jewish people, God says, "But I will always keep my covenant with you. I will remember my promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will always remain your God, and you will always remain my people." And this is something that if you just need a proof that the Torah is true, just look at this week's parsha, because no other nation could endure this kind of a hardship and still survive. But the Torah said we're going to endure it, and we're still going to survive. How did we survive? So the question is, if you are abused, sometimes there are children, God forbid, who go through life, they're abused, they experience a lot of tragedy and loss and suffering. Usually they don't manage to succeed. How is it the Jewish people, despite all the hardships, manage to succeed? There's a story told about the closing of the Rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda Kassil Halberstam. When the Nazis came to Romania, they came to his town of Klosenberg. And many times they would take the rabbis and mock them and humiliate them to set an example for everyone else. And so they took the rabbi with his long beard and his payas, and they threw him to the ground, and all the Hasidim were standing around in horror as they began to beat him. And as they're beating him, one of the Nazi guards says to the Rebbe, "Rabbi, do you still think you're the chosen people?" And the Rebbe said yes, and they beat him even harder. Then they said to him again, "Do you still think you're the chosen people?" He said yes, and they kicked him in the teeth, and he started bleeding from his mouth. And the Nazi guard's laughing and says, "You still think you're the chosen people?" And the Rebbe looked up from the floor, bleeding and bruised, and he said, "As long as we're not the ones beating and murdering and killing innocent men, women, and children, we could still say we're the chosen ones." The idea is that many times when you go through a hardship, you could start losing faith in yourself. And you start believing that you're at fault. One of the miracles of the Jewish people is that we never stopped believing in ourselves, and we never bought into the lies of the world that we're a despicable race and we're deserving of this kind of a treatment. We've maintained our self-confidence and our faith and our esteem in ourselves. And this is a lesson for people. When we go through challenges in life sometimes, it could erode our self-respect and our self-esteem. And the message is that not only shouldn't we lose faith in ourselves if we know we haven't done it, if we've acted righteous and noble, but on the contrary, sometimes the challenges of life make you better and stronger. And because you've gone through these hardships, you emerge even greater than you were before you had these challenges in life. As someone once said, that it's funny how we often ask God to change the situation that we're in, not knowing that God put us in the situation to change us. And so if we go through challenges, we should always use it as a stepping stone to raise ourselves up and to learn from those experiences, as painful and as difficult as they are, and to evolve and metamorphose into a better human being and a better person, just like the Jewish people have collectively for 1,000 years. We've took the hardships that have befallen us in this week's Parsha, and we've utilized this to become a more compassionate, more empathetic, and more caring nation, due to the plight that has befallen us and our understanding and our sensitivity to the plight and the pain of others.